Biblical Hebrew 1, Chapter 19, Pronominal Suffixes on Verbs. If you remember back in Chapter 9, we introduced pronominal suffixes on nouns and prepositions and the direct object marker. So here we can have like the noun sus for horse, and a pronominal suffix added to that noun can express possession, like susi, my horse, susecha, your horse, or suso, his horse. And then prepositions, we can have the lamed preposition, we can add a pronominal suffix li there to suggest or to mark to me, lecha to say to you, or lo to him. And then with the direct object marker, we can have oti, me, oteja, you, or oto, him. So the pronominal suffixes here added to nouns, prepositions, and direct object markers. So chapter 19 is about pronominal suffixes added to verbs as well. And this is going to be the same forms that you already know, or fortunately you don't have to memorize a completely different set of forms, just the same forms added to verbs. And they can be added to perfect, imperfect, and imperative verbs. So at the bottom here we have an example of an expression using the direct object marker and a pronominal suffix. So we have yishmor otano to express he will keep us. So that's using the verb he will keep, and then otano, the direct object marker, marking us as the ones who are being kept. So pronominal suffix added there to the direct object marker. And just below that, the different way to say that, adding the pronominal suffix to the verb directly, yishmerenu, he will keep us. So there we don't need the direct object marker, we just have the pronominal suffix attached to the end of the verb, indicating the object of us as the object of the verb to keep. So here's the chart on the pronominal suffixes. They're the same as the ones from chapter 19 or chapter 9 for nouns. They're the same with verbs here. So on the singular on the left side, we have first common singular, and then we have the hirek yod, or the alternative is nun yod with the hirek under that. And then the second masculine singular, we have ka. The second feminine singular, we have just the ka or kaf there with the silent shava. And then the third masculine singular, o, or alternatively hu. And then the third feminine singular, kametz he, either with the kametz directly under the he, or the kametz under the last consonant with the he there at the end. So as an objective translation, adding or marking the object of the verb, we would have the first common singular to mark me as the object, second masculine, second feminine for you, and then third masculine, third feminine for him or her. Then in the plural, we're familiar with this nu for us, kem for you, masculine, ken for you, feminine plural, hem, and then hen for third masculine plural and third feminine plural to mark them as the object of the verb. And so here at the bottom we have a few examples of this. Ketalani, so you have the verb katal in third masculine singular and adding the nun hirek yod to the end there to express he killed me. And notice that the basic form for the vowels of katal in the third masculine singular would have a kametz and a patach under it. And so adding the ni here to the ending has changed the vowel pattern there because of the accent shifting to the end of the word. So that's the complicating factor here with the pronominal suffixes added to verbs. It changes the vowels at the beginning of the verb. So next example, we have ketalo on the left, he killed him. So just adding the holamvav to the end of katal, third masculine singular, katal, he killed, and then holamvav on the end to mark the object him. And then ketal ken, he killed you, feminine plural, another example. Then on the right, we have different forms of the verb. So we have first common singular, katal ti, with the second masculine singular, ka, there at the end for the pronominal suffix. So ketal tiha, I killed you. And then the one under that, ketaluhu, we have the verb katal in third masculine plural, they killed, and then we have the pronominal suffix hu to mark the object of him as the direct object of the verb. And then the last one, ketalnum, we have katalnu as the basic form, we killed, first common plural, and then the mem there at the end marking them as the object of that one. So in adding pronominal suffixes to perfect verbs, on page 225 you can see a chart for suffixes with the endings added to the third masculine singular verb. And as we already mentioned before, adding another syllable to the end adds the accent to the end, moves it further down in the word, and then it changes the vowels, pronunciation at the front of the word. So katal reduces at the beginning to ketalani. So in pages 227 and 228 there are a few examples of this, and all the forms of the perfect verb change with the addition of the pronominal suffix. So we have to be aware of, first of all, which form of the perfect verb is being used. Is it the third masculine singular, such as with katalani here, or is it the first common singular, second singular, second feminine singular, or plural verb, or so forth. So all of those verb forms are going to change slightly. The vowels are going to change when the suffixes are added. The most important thing for you to do at this point is to recognize the pronominal suffix added to the end, and don't worry too much about how the vowels are going to change in the rest of the verb. So if you come across a verb, you know that the root is a verb, and you see the pronominal suffix at the end, you'll be able to identify what's going on, how to translate it, even though you might not be able to explain why the specific verbs change or the vowels have changed the way that they have. So just focus on identifying the pronominal suffixes at the end, and then from there proceeding to recognize what verb form you're dealing with, and you can parse it from there. And with the imperfect verbs, adding a pronominal suffix also causes a few changes. You're going to have a variant suffix with the nun, so that you don't confuse the third masculine singular nun suffix, which would be yilkedennu, with the dagesh in it, with the first common plural suffix of the regular imperfect. So yilkedenu, let us kill, or we will kill, in the first common plural, and then the other one on the top line, yilkedennu, we will kill him, or let us kill him. So there's a little confusion there that you have to be aware of. On pages 230 and 231, there's some examples of various changes. The prefixes, the performatives to the imperfect verbs do not change. In most cases, you will have a stem vowel reduction. So yiktol, the basic strong imperfect form, adding the pronominal suffix to that, the cholim reduces to a shava under the tet there, yikte lehu. And then we also have what is called a connecting vowel that is added between the last consonant of the verb and then the pronominal suffix that is added to that. So with yishmerecha on the left here, the segol under the resh is what we would call the connecting vowel. And then with yiktelehu, the tsere under the lamed is the connecting vowel that connects the root of the verb to the pronominal suffix at the end. And then at the bottom here, remember there's going to be irregular verbs. When they add suffixes, they're going to undergo more changes than the regular verbs, but the changes are going to be familiar from the imperfect and perfect verbs that you've already encountered, the way that gutturals cause changes in vowels, the way that nuns can sometimes disappear, the way that an aleph quiesces, and things like that. So that whole process of identifying weak verbs is going to be slightly complicated by the suffixes, but again, the main thing to remember is if you can identify the suffix as a pronominal suffix, and then you can identify a prefix at the beginning of the verb, you can say it's an imperfect form that has added a pronominal suffix, and then you can piece together what the root might be in the middle, and possibly whether some letters have disappeared, or like a nun has disappeared, or you can piece together why the vowels might have changed because of a guttural, or maybe a hey has disappeared. So a bit more on the imperative verbs and pronominal suffixes. So the imperatives are built, as we already learned, on the imperfect form of the verb, but they use the same suffixes as the pronominal suffixes here. There's going to be some minor changes in spelling. The second masculine singular is going to use a kametz hatuf. So the imperative form is shemor, with the sheva under the first letter, and then the cholam as the stem vowel, and that's going to change to shambrem. So the sheva is going to change to a kametz. And then in certain guttural forms, it's going to change, or kametz hatuf, excuse me. So this becomes shamrem. So that would be the imperative of shamar plus the pronominal suffix third masculine plural. So keep them. And then, of course, irregular verbs with the patah stem vowel and lengthen to kametz. For example, here with the guttural, we have shema. The guttural prefers an A-class vowel instead of a cholam, as usually with the imperative. So shema is going to lengthen, the patah is going to lengthen to a longer kametz to make shemaeni. So that's shema, imperative, plus ni, the first common singular pronominal suffix, to express an imperative, hear me or listen to me. So when you're parsing verbs with pronominal suffixes, you're always looking for the person, gender, and number of the suffix at the end. So you can see the suffix, you know the chart, which indicates whether you're looking at a singular, plural, masculine, feminine suffix, and so forth. So with this first verb, netatiha, there at the end you can see the ka to identify this as a second masculine singular suffix. And then what's left there for you, you have natati. The vowels are slightly changed from the usual perfect form that you're familiar with, but you can see the consonants there are for the first common singular of natan, natati. So when you piece that together, you can say this is a call perfect first common singular of natan plus the second masculine singular suffix. So I gave you, or natan can also mean I made you. And then with the second example here, yilkedenu, at the end we can see the third masculine singular suffix, and that leaves us with yilked as the rest of the form that we're trying to identify. So we see a prefix yod at the beginning telling us it's an imperfect, and then we have lamed, kaf, dalet in the middle, so we can look up that root from the dictionary to tell us that this is lakad, to capture, and the vowel pattern yilkod, the hirek under the yod, indicates that this is a call imperfect form. So we have a call imperfect third masculine singular of lakad, to capture, plus the third masculine singular suffix. So to translate this, we will say, he will capture him, as the pronominal suffix at the end there. And then we have the vocabulary for chapter 19. Batach, to trust, to be confident, to rely on. Bakach, to weep for someone. Lavash, to put on a garment, clothe, be clothed. Saraf, to burn, to destroy. Shalem, to be complete, be finished. Dor, generation. Chutz, outside, or street or marketplace. Melacha, work, occupation, service. Par, bull, ox, or steer. Petach, opening, entrance, doorway. Rov, multitude, abundance, greatness. Safa, lip, or language, or shore.